Welcome to the Weekly Roar, coming live from the Lion's Den, helping new managers become great leaders and awesome bosses. And now, here's your host, Greg Storch.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Lion's Den. This is the Weekly Roar. Today I'm going to not only talk about the foundation of strong leadership, but I'm also going to share some ways that you can build it up over time. That's right. Today I'm going to talk about the C word, character. But before we jump into that, I'm Greg Storch. I'm the founder of Lion Enterprise, a leadership development and coaching business. I'm a certified professional leadership coach and a certified leadership speaker and trainer. Last week, I continued my new leadership series called Leadership Reboot 2020, Start With You, which is designed to bring us back to basics by doing a leadership reboot and hopefully helping all of us to take a look at ourselves as leaders first. It all starts with you. Last Wednesday, I talked about getting your priorities straight as a leader and how important it is for us to be able to prioritize tasks to make sure we're focused on the right things, especially in a world of competing priorities and chaos. I shared some tools with you that would help you get better at prioritizing tasks each day. And I even posted one of the tools in the Lion's Den for you to grab and hang above your desk as a daily reminder on how to address tasks that creep up onto your list. If you missed that episode of the Weekly Roar, all you have to do is go over to my website at lion-enterprise.com and click on the Lion's Pride library, where you'll find links to all of my videos. Last week's video is number 86. The Lion's Pride library is a free resource for you to check out, and it's a great way for you to get more of the roar. Okay, let's jump into today's Weekly Roar by thinking into this question. How do you define character? What is it exactly? Leaders speak about character all the time, and it's one of those words that goes along with good leadership, but I want to focus in on that word first before we really jump into this thing. If you're watching live right now, go ahead and comment below on how you define character. Go on. Okay, thanks you guys. As I thought about this word and I thought into it a bit more, things popped into my mind like the characters we see in movies or in a play. Characters. We'll speak of actors in terms of the characters they play. I loved her character in the movie, whatever, right? And that is sort of a hint of how I define someone's character. Because to me, character is really who we truly are in word and deed, what we both say and do. It's not just our words, but it's our actions, our beliefs, our upbringing, our thoughts, and the standards we have. It's our moral compass, if you will. When I look up the definition for character in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, it's defined as one of those attributes or features that make up and distinguish an individual. The complex of mental and ethical traits marking and often individualizing a person. So, in a nutshell, as a combination of all of our beliefs and influences and thoughts, ethics, and our moral compass, that forms our words and our actions, our deeds. And this is what people see, what we say and what we do, which is how they judge our character. So sometimes you can be characterized as having good character or poor character. Sometimes people might say you don't have any character at all. When someone isn't acting or is speaking in a manner that is typically unacceptable, they're said to have character flaws, right? I want to read this quote that's taken from a passage called Character Shaping and Character Showing. And it was written by a man named Henry Clay Trumbull in 1894. Henry wrote, quote, "To possess and to exhibit an admirable personal character is a duty incumbent on everyone. In order to possess such a character, its exhibit by its expression is a necessity. He who does not endeavor to express those traits and qualities which are the exhibit of an admirable personal character cannot hope to retain such a character, even if it were his by nature. And he who does endeavor to express them can hope to gain the character which they represent, even though he lacked it before." So basically, you can gain character through its expression, and the opposite also holds true, that you can lose character by repressing it. Kind of the same thing as love or sympathy and knowledge, right? Expressing those things help you to grow in those areas, while suppressing them makes you worse and worse at them. All right. Thanks, you guys, for playing along and adding your comments below. And if you're catching this on the replay, feel free to go back to the Lion's Den Facebook page and add a comment on the video link that I'm going to post here on character. I'd love to hear from you guys too. So, why is character so important to leadership? Well, for one thing, it has a lot to do with developing trust. And without trust, you'll find it hard to influence people. And we already know that leadership is influence. And one of the biggest things I want to share with you, one of the big takeaways that I want to make sure I leave you with today is this: your character, it's not set in stone. We're actually working on it all the time. It's a never-ending effort to improve our character. And the other thing is that nobody's perfect. Being a person of good character is not synonymous with being perfect. So if that's what comes to mind when I speak about character, then let's get rid of that thought right now. Working on your character may not get you what you want, but what it will do is help you be what you want. And that, my friends, is why working on our character is so worth it. So if your character isn't what you want it to be right now, maybe you already identified areas where you could be better or strengthen your character. If there's room for improvement, the good news is that you can change it. Who you were yesterday doesn't have to dictate who you can be tomorrow. It's like that quote that we can't go back and make a new start, but anyone can start today and create a new ending, right? I just mentioned that having good character helps leaders establish strong trust. And this is one of the reasons why leaders should want to strengthen their character. If you haven't seen my free ebook, The Secret Sauce of Awesome Managers, you can request a free copy of it on my website homepage. But in it, I speak about how people quit people, not companies. The greatest cause of staff turnover in organizations is due to a lack of trust. See, if people trusted their coworkers and leaders more, their work environment would be a lot more positive, and they'd probably be a lot more productive too. Employee turnover rates would decrease. They would want to be there. There's tons of benefits to establishing trust as a leader, and those are just a few of them. And to help you establish trust, you must build strong character as a leader. And that's why I'm talking about it today. It's also important to understand trust. Leaders should see trust as a relationship between two people. It's like dance. It takes two to tango, right? Well, it also takes two to have trust. One person is assuming the risk of trusting another person, and that other person is becoming someone who can be trusted. And then those roles keep moving back and forth. It's a very symbiotic relationship. One of the best ways a leader can build trust up with their followers is to consistently model good character. Why? Because people are convinced more by what a leader does than by what a leader says. Yes, in the beginning, when we first start out as the new leader, people do lean on what we say. But as time goes by, our words become less important and our actions speak louder than our words. Words are just words, but our actions, they have meaning to other people, and actions build trust when they're the actions of a leader with solid character. Let's take a look at 4 areas that you can actually look deeper into to help you along in the process of building your character or developing it further. And the first thing I want to talk about is being authentic. That's right, authenticity. There are a lot of leaders out there who might say that they're being authentic, but it's really a hard thing for a lot of leaders to do, because being authentic makes you vulnerable, because you're literally being who you truly are, and you're asking the world to accept you that way, flaws and all. And a lot of leaders, well, they're afraid to show that they aren't perfect. They have this idea in their head that if they've made it to the top as the leader, then they must be perfect in some way. Now, we already know that there's no such thing as perfection. I like to say we're all perfectly imperfect. But somehow, being imperfect, being human, experiencing failures just as much as the next person is, in their mind, a blow to their credibility as a leader. But you know what? People can't relate to perfection because we aren't perfect. Your followers don't need you to be a vision of perfection. They can relate to failure. They can relate to knowing you're just like they are. You experience setbacks and failures just like them. What really sets us apart is not that we're better or perfect, but we understand the value in our failures and we use that to learn and grow. Have you ever seen a young kid bowling and they keep throwing the ball right into the gutter every single time they get up to bowl? Well, bowling alleys can use bumpers, and they allow the ball to stay in the lane for the best possible chance of knocking down the pins. I like that because it's a great analogy of being authentic. See, being authentic is where we're trying to stay in the lane between all success and only failure, right? We need the balance to be authentic. We can't just focus on all of our success, and we can't just focus solely on our failures either. Authenticity helps us stay in the lane so we have the best chance of bowling a strike. Okay, so The second area that you can look at for character building is self-management. You probably heard me say plenty of times that the hardest person you'll ever lead is, go ahead, finish it. That's right, yourself. You see, character isn't about how smart we are, it's about making the right choices. And self management is a way for leaders to ensure that they're making the right choice. In order to make the right choice, you have to be prepared to make them before the decision is needed. How do you do that? Well, a really great way is to know what you value and use your values as a guidepost. Knowing your values, what you will and will not accept or do, prepares you for the right decision or making the right choices when the time comes. You'll be prepared for the decision. How do you know the choice is the right one? Because when your actions align with your values, everything is in balance and harmony. It's only when these things are not aligned that things tend to go wrong for us and they become wrong decisions or wrong choices. So by practicing self-management, you can see that you can establish character guideposts that will help you to make the right choices. And making the right choices more often than not contributes to building strong character. Why is that? Because you align those decision points to your values. Okay, the next area, the third area, is about humility. Now, I just posted something on Instagram a couple of weeks ago about humility. I'm going to post it here in the Lions Den Facebook group after this episode ends. But it says, humility isn't denying our strengths. It's being honest about your weaknesses. I love that. Nobody likes working with a leader who's full of himself. People want to follow a leader who can be humble. Yes, we're flawed. We make mistakes because we're human, and that's okay. This is a huge growth area, especially for me. Humility is something that we develop over time, much like our character. And over that time, you begin to accept your weaknesses. And not just your weaknesses, but you also recognize others for their weaknesses too. And when you begin to develop humility, you put yourself in a much better place to serve the people you're leading. You begin to see the shift from being selfish to selfless. You'll no longer be focused on all the things that are important to you or about how far you can go. Humility gives us the ability to shift our focus away from ourselves and towards others so that we can focus on what's important to them and to help them get as far as they can go. That's when we strengthen our character. The last thing I would submit to you, the fourth thing you can work on to help strengthen or develop your character, is courage. You've already heard me say my favorite character in The Wizard of Oz. Yep, you guessed it. The Cowardly Lion. He just wanted some courage. Courage makes character possible. How? When we have courage, we're able to make those right choices despite our fears or the unknown. When you have the courage to take your followers to places you haven't even gone yourself, when you doubt your abilities to do it, or that you're even the right person to be leading the team because you don't feel smart enough or strong enough or experienced enough to do it, that's when the courage to push through comes in. And when you become the leader who displays courage during the hardest times, it adds to your character. Why? Because your followers know that you can be counted on even in the hardest times, that you won't abandon them when the going gets tough. You know, the old saying, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. There's a play on that. When the going gets tough, the tough go shopping. You don't want to be that person. You don't want to be that leader. They need to count on you. So working at continually developing our character requires us to reflect, be honest about ourselves with ourselves, and to have the courage to do the right thing. Okay, so those are 4 things that you can focus on that are going to help you to start, improve, or develop your character. Let me share some action steps that you can take that might help you focus in some areas that are sure to help you develop your character, and we can all use some of that, right? Okay, so first of all, when it comes to values, know what yours are. And if you haven't done it already, they should be written down. Once you have, say, 3 to 5 values written down, think into them a little more by asking yourself questions like, what are my non-negotiables? Now, I call non-negotiables my core values. What lines will you just not cross? And what exactly are you willing to stand up for? Those answers should be prepared and at the ready, so you don't have to think into them when a time comes for you to make the right choice. Now, I know a lot of us have gone through a values exercise and we probably already have our list. If that's you, then I urge you to revisit your list and see if what you have on it is still relevant for you today, because sometimes things become more important to us while other things become less important. We value things differently at different times. So see if any updates are needed, because you'll need a current list to use as your guideposts when it comes time to make the right choices. Now that we have values addressed, let's talk about that self-leadership part that I spoke of earlier. All this means is when it comes to building or developing your character further, is making sure you align decisions based on those things that you've already decided you will and will not do. You've already made the decision when you identified your values. So self-leadership just requires you to follow through on a decision that you've already made. Make sense? All right. And then the last thing I want to share is about valuing other people. This is also going to help with your character development. You know, we spoke about it already, and it's really about putting others first and taking the focus off of ourselves. Think about something that you can do each and every day that adds value to someone else. And if you really want to kick it up a notch and get serious about your character development, focus on adding value to people you don't know or others who maybe you're not that big of a fan of. Now that will really help you build character. Focus on these 3 main areas: good values, self-leadership, and adding value to others, and you're well on your way to strengthening the inside so that it can show on the outside. Bottom line about character is our words and our deeds have to align. They can't be mismatched. What we say we're going to do is exactly what we have to do. We have to be dependable to our people. They have to trust and know that what we say we'll do, we'll do. That is how you establish the type of person you are. And the type of person you are is your character. Okay, everyone, that's a wrap. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to be back here next week, of course, and I'm going to be speaking about more ways that you can reboot your leadership in 2020. That's right. Next week, I'm going to speak about one of the biggest tests that we face as leaders, and that's our ability to create positive change. Nobody likes change. It has a negative connotation to it, but successful leaders know how to not only manage it, but also how to navigate and implement it. I hope you're going to join me. Until we meet again, you guys, remember, be powerful, but stay poised just like a lion. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for watching the Weekly Roar live event at lionenterprise.com. If you enjoyed this video, please tell others to join us each week here in the Lion's Den. Thanks again, and see you next week.